Goochland County, Mr. Gillespie.
I'm present. I have asked Patrick Longerbeam to step in. He'll be my replacement, and he should be in here shortly.
Thank you. Hanover County, Mr. Badunez.
I just moved him over.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Badunez, I have you as present. Henrico County, Ms. Smidler.
Here.
Powhatan County, Mr. Webb. New Kent County, Ms. Inman. We do have Ms. Inman. I will mark her as present and go back and make sure she hasn't lost her connection. City of Richmond, Ms. Clark.
Moving over now.
All right. GRTC, Mr. Adarkwa.
Present.
Ms. Robinson.
Present.
CVTA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Plan RBA, Mr. Bushing. DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky. Mr. Hudson. VDOT, Mr. Totten. Mr. Riblett.
Here.
RMTA, Ms. Dean. And Virginia Port Authority, Ms. Nelson. That concludes the roll call for attendance. We do have a quorum.
Okay, sounds good. I think there's a message in the chat from Patrick Longerbeam indicating that he's present as well.
All right, thank you. I see some other people have just come in, so just let everybody know. I will check the attendance and update it, even if you came in after the roll call. I see Mr. Dubinsky and a couple other people have arrived.
Great. All right, thank you very much. So first on our agenda is consideration of any amendments. Are there any amendments to the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the April 14th meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes? Are there any required changes? And if there aren't any, would someone please make a motion for approval?
I'll motion to approve the minutes, Barb.
All right, thank you very much. Is there a second?
This is Nora. I'll second.
All right, thanks, Sherry and Nora. We'll do a voice vote with this. All in favor of approving the April 14th meeting minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? All right. Moving on to public comment period. Is anyone with us that has comment, or have we received any comment to discuss?
We have not received any requests.
Okay, all right. Next is CVTA TAC Chairs report. I don't have anything to report. We have to just take that off. Anyway, item 7, bid status of the Fall Line Trail design build number 2.
Sure.
I think Mark's.
I'll
You're going to intro?
introduce it? Yes.
Thank you very much.
So some of you were in attendance. We had our final meeting of the Fall Line Work Group last week, and actually held it at the new Sports Backers office in Lakeside. So on site with a portion, a segment of the trail right behind us, and it was a good opportunity to catch up with everyone and thank the work group for all the work that everyone's done over the past few years to get the fall line to where it is today. We did get an update on the design build status of both design build projects that VDOT is administering, and you may have been on email chains about the groundbreaking for design build 1 that is moving forward. I think the expectation is in June. The date will be set and new information will be sent out either from VDOT or possibly from Hanover, and you all can clarify if I have that wrong. But we also got a great update on design build 2, which was out for bid. and that is what is on the agenda today, to give the full TAC an update from VDOT on where that bid status is and what we can expect moving forward. So we've asked Mark to share some of the same information that was shared at the Fall In Work Group. And take it away, Mark.
All right, I appreciate that, Chet. Thank you. I will start off with the ask that we all have right now in terms of trying to figure out how we move forward with Design Build 2. And that is, bottom line, we're about $10.2 million short between available allocations and what our all-in project costs are going to be. Drilling down into that a little bit. If you look at the presentation that Chet has on the screen, this is a presentation that we gave to the Fall Line Trail Working Group. If slides 8 and 9 really speak to Design Build 2. Again, you can at your leisure look at the slides that are available that we gave updates on Design Build 1. There's some really cool pictures of what's completed out there, but slides 8 and 9 really speak to Design Build 2. Typical questions that we ask, or that we get asked when we're trying to figure out whether or not we should move forward with the available bids. We did get 3 bids. So they were from the qualified bidders from the design build process. All 3 bids were all very close, indicating to us that is reflective of what the market is bearing right now. And we feel that it's appropriate to try and find a way to award this project. They're in the process of trying to determine if we can locate funds to cover that deficit. We have issued a notice of intent to award the project. Again, that's with the understanding that we need to try and find the funds to cover that. The idea being that if we can, we would then move forward with the award of that project at the June CTB meeting. If all moves forward the way we are hoping it will, construction could start as soon as later towards the end of this calendar year, pending environmental permitting processes, with a completion date about 3 years out. October of 2028 is what we're looking at. Why are we saying beyond just market is bearing the price for what we're talking about? Why do we think this is a good value? There are multiple trail enhancements that are a part of the bid package that we feel it's appropriate to move forward with. The design build process is a best value process, and part of what was included in the what we are recommending as the recommended bid included several enhancements that were not necessarily included in some of the other offerers packages. These are enhancements that, in theory, are going to absolutely make the trail experience better and safer from day one. And are a good value. They scored very well from a technical perspective. We think it's going to enhance the trail experience and safety literally from day one. Safer crossings, there's some elements that they have included to help make the crossings where the trail crosses a vehicular roadway much more safe. We think that's certainly a good practice to include in this package. So it's about 10 miles. We're double the cost, or excuse me, double the length of Design Build 1, and ironically about quadruple the cost of Design Build 1. There's some significant differences. We've got 8 major structures on this, and we're in a different economic environment as well. So we feel like we're pretty pleased with the bids that are in. Right now, we are recommending that we move forward. When you look at the funding that are on the combination of the 4 UPCs that are on that make up Design Build 2 right now, it's a combination of regional CMAQ money out of Tri-Cities, TAP money, PTF money from the CTB, HIP community grant, as well as CVTA funds. Of course, you have the local funds associated with the TAP applications as well. If you remove TAP and regional CMAQ from the list, because those are not as easy to get contributions from, there are also some of the smaller contributions on the project as a whole. When you compare the PTF money and the CVTA money, it's about a 60-40 split, just for round numbers at this point, when you compare those two sources alone. So at this point, our ask would be to see if there is a willingness and an ability from CVTA to increase the dollars that they have committed to the project. I think if we are able to share the responsibility between CVTA and the CTB, we will have potentially a very successful path forward that we would then be able to get award approval in June at the June CTB meeting. So that's the 70,000 foot view summary of where we are and what the ask is right now. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I had a question, Mark.
Yes.
PTF.
Yes.
What is that? Sorry.
The-
I thought I knew all the funding sources.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, I've got to look that one up. What I can tell you is it's not associated with Smart Scale, so this is not tied to the Smart Scale process. It was a pot of money. I can get you that answer, Barb. I apologize, I don't have that definition.
That
at my
makes me feel
fingertips.
better.
But
That's the
but
CTB
it-
funding, right?
it is CTB, correct?
Yeah.
I can tell you there's not. My understanding is
The T
there's-
doesn't stand for trail.
No.
Okay.
It's but it's not part of CMAQ. It's not part of the separate trail funding. It's not part of Smart Scale revenue sharing. It's
Do you know
not
what
part
HIP
of our.
Do you know what HIP is?
That was a federal grant.
Okay. All right. Okay. Amy?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. As we talked at the Falling Trail Working Group meeting, Mark, did you check into the funding for the Trails Office? And if any of that was available?
So I think I did, Amy, and I did talk to Kim Pryor in the Infrastructure Investment Division downtown. And I think what they are working towards is trying to find available dollars to cover as much as they can. And I believe Kim is looking to use regional trails money as much as she is able. There's not, as I understand it, there's not sufficient funds out of that pot to cover the delta that is available at this point. But to your point, yes, she is looking to see if that is a source of funds that can be applied to that. And I believe she is trying to use what she can out of that pot.
Okay, and then the other question that we had was how much local money is currently on this project?
When I look at the local money that it's on the project right now, I had given Chet a summary of all the different sources, but it really does amount to the local funds that are the matching funds for TAP, as I understand it.
And how much is that? I don't know how much their TAP
It's very
application
small.
was.
Barb is correct.
Yeah.
So
it is
there-
a very small amount of
there are
money because those
opportunities.
projects are just like at the most $500,000, I think.
Right.
You're correct, Barb.
Yeah.
I guess the question that we had, Barb, at the working group meeting is, can the locals come up with a little more money, since this seems to be predominantly funded with regional and state money?
Yeah. Our projects, we've got other projects going on besides this design build 2 along Route 1. And we've contributed about $1 million to those projects in local money. So we are keeping an eye on the projects we're administering, the county, so that as we advertise, we'll be able to take care of shortfalls, because that seems to usually be the case. And we're shoring up projects before advertisement with some local money in combination with other sources. But we don't have $10 million to contribute to this project.
No, but do you have any extra money to kind of, lessen the gap?
Yeah, we can look into that. But like I said, we're
Yeah.
trying to commit our local money to the projects we're administering.
but how much, how many miles of this trail are in Chesterfield?
I can't remember. Is it 17? Or is that just how long design build 2
Of the
is?
10?
The design build 2 is 10 miles long. And the splits, I believe, were about 70-30 in and out of Chesterfield. It's a very small amount in Petersburg and 30% plus or minus in Colonial Heights. I know Scott Fisher sent
I think
the
Amy
detailed
meant like the
splits.
total.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd have to
No, I
go
meant
to
for
the
this
Fall Line Trail.
trail. Yeah, for this
You mean-
trail, the 10 miles, how much
Oh,
of the
okay.
10 miles is actually in? So
Most
it
of
sounds
it.
like,
All,
most of
I
it,
think it's
so-
all but a mile.
okay. So Chesterfield has like very little money then on this $78 million project.
Yep, on this particular project. That's right.
Okay.
Just to
right.
answer your question, PTF stands for Priority Transportation Fund, but I've got to figure out where that comes from. So anyway, but PTF is Priority
Thanks.
Transportation Fund.
All right, thanks. Are there any other comments? Check the chat. Okay.
So we are going to I believe this is on the agenda for the Finance Committee meeting on Wednesday. In
That's correct.
theory, um, best case scenario, whatever CVTA may be able to bring to the table or not, but whatever that answer is, in theory, we would have that answer by the first week in June. The CTB meeting in June is third week. I think it's a little bit delayed in June from when it normally is. But whatever action the CVTA authority might take the first week in June, whatever they choose to do, would be certainly in time for that to be considered with any action that might be available at the CTB meeting a couple of weeks later. So at this point, our ask would be of the Finance Committee and the authority, again, just putting the cards on the table. We have bids that we have a limited time in terms of how long we can accept these. We are not expecting that the costs are going to go down. We're not expecting that we're going to be able to get maybe even the enhancements that we have with this package right now if it were to be re-advertised again. So our recommendation is an ask for trying to find a path forward. And if whatever CVTA may be able to bring to the table and whatever the CTB, if the two of those combined come together the way we need them to, then we can go ahead and award at the end of June. So with that, I'm not sure if the Finance Committee were to ask what the thoughts or recommendations were from TAC, how would we answer that?
Staff has included a report in the agenda packet for Finance Committee, and
Okay.
that's what I briefed the chair and the vice chair on in advance of the meeting on Wednesday.
So we're good with that. That's perfect.
Okay. Are there any other questions on the status of design build 2? Okay.
Barb, one last thing on PTF. I'm checking my IMs as they're coming in here real quick, and I'm reminded that they were discretionary funds that Mr. Brown had. This predates Mr. Davis's time on the board, and they
Right.
were dollars that became available. And honestly, Mr. Brown had the ability at that point to put them wherever he chose, and that's where they landed.
Yeah, that's familiar. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Chet?
Mark is making me think of all these memories now. I think that commitment happened at the same time that CBTA made its initial commitment to the fall line. So that was probably under the Northam administration.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All righty. there are no other questions or comments, we'll move on to item number 8, which is regional spend down plans.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think hopefully everybody remembers doing this. We looked back in 2023, I believe it was like September timeframe, at the regional commitments that CVT had made, and for each locality or each administering body, what the expected spend down plan was for those regional funds, so that we could get a better picture in our full portfolio of when those allocations were actually necessary. So from time to time, the intent was to come back to these spend down plans and revise them as projects change or additional funding is acquired or priorities are updated. So I think this was probably November of last year. I sent out a request we talked actually at the TAC meetings about an update to the spend down plans, and I got a lot of good responses with updated information. Not everybody did, so I had asked the chair to put this back on the agenda so that I could reinforce that request, and we could start to solidify where things are as of, we'll say, summer 2025 for these spend down plans. And the goal there is to make sure that we have a good awareness as we move into the bond process of what our current status is for regional awards. And that way it'll help us know by allocation year what our commitments are into the out years, especially. So 28, 29, 30, 31. So I just included in the packet the PDF of the latest information by locality or by VDOT. And you can see there's a green bar in each one that shows the latest date that I either received word that, no, we have no updates, or here's new information, please include that. So, for example, Ashland responded November 26th of last year that there was no update. So that's the reflection I have in there. So I just, at this point, Madam Chair, I just ask everybody to take a look at this. If you want me to send you the spreadsheet, the workbook that has all this information in it, I'm happy to do that too. But just if we could identify a date, over the next, maybe sometime in June, to get an update back, I would appreciate that. And then we can work on our side to assemble all the information together and provide an updated packet back out to everyone towards the beginning of next fiscal year.
Okay. Yeah, so let's get a very firm due date after we hear some discussion. And I was wondering, are you looking for updates to this annually, quarterly? What's kind of the goal?
That's a great question. We don't have a guideline, so biannually, would that be too much?
No, we'll see what other people have to say. Okay, Tyrona.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chat. And so can you just connect for me the conversation I think we had last week, and then what you're requesting here? I just want to make sure that we're still all in agreement on, because it seems to be the same amounts in some cases on the front page that shows the fiscal years of anticipated spending. But then when we go like to some of the examples, is it reflected that same way? These are a little small. Is it reflected the same way? And are those numbers gonna remain? And do you want this update to move forward with questions that you had, or is this just a continuum of, hey, not right now, we don't want to fold the money in, but to keep a watch on it to help you determine when you might want to? I'm just trying to tie those things together a little bit on this request.
Yeah, this is not a new request. This is the same workbook that we started with back in 23. So it should just be a reflection of the allocations plan, but with more detail. So for all the CVTA regional dollars that have been awarded, for each jurisdiction, you'll have that dollar amount associated with the project in this workbook. And the goal here is to line up the expected spending by quarter with the allocations plan, which shows the awards per fiscal year.
Okay.
I'd be happy to walk through that one-on-one with anybody who wants more detail.
So,
It's
I
for
have trouble
internal
keep-
planning more than anything.
I have trouble keeping up with all these reports. So for regional, we've got this regional spend down plan. Well, we've got the programming allocations that you handle. And then we've got the spend down plan, which is a cash flow, like how we think the money will be spent. And then we also have individual project status, which in a way it should be in line with this cash flow as well with the schedule. But I don't think it includes a cash flow, does it? Does the regional status, or is it just milestones with dates?
It's just milestones with dates, and that's connected to the SPA and the
Okay.
reimbursement process. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great encapsulation. These are all kind of redundant, right? So they should all reflect the same information, but in different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so what are you thinking for a due date? It is end of year for people, June.
Say more. Is that a bad thing?
Well, budget people, accounting people are really busy closing out the fiscal year in May and June.
Okay.
I don't know that it really gets that much better in July. So, maybe it's not a big deal.
Can we say, just to have a date, can we say June 27th? And then that's a Friday.
Yep. Is there any objection to June 27th to update the regional spend down or cash flow report? All right. Amy?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. So on New Kent, we have about $100 million on, in our cash flow that is related to the VDOT 64 widening. So Chet, are you getting updates from VDOT on those projects, or who's giving you updates on those projects?
Yeah, that's a good question, Amy. So if it is a VDOT administered project, then VDOT will provide the updates. But
Okay.
That's why we want to send the workbook to everybody so that you can see the same thing, and you can verify that jives with what the county understands also.
Okay. It would be helpful then if you could share that information with us from VDOT, because they do
It's in
not
there.
give us that information.
It's farther back.
Mhm.
There's a VDOT page as well. It's really tiny print though, so I could send you the workbook.
Okay, that's great. That was a
Okay.
good question.
Okay. Okay, I see it. Got it. Thank you.
All righty. Anybody have more questions on this one?
You'll be sending out a reminder, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thanks. All right, moving on to number 9, bond issuance. Next steps and milestones.
Okay, great. So this was a memo that was approved for distribution by the authority at their April 25th meeting. I put it on the screen, it's in your packets, but it essentially has the long view of bond issuance and what the next steps are in terms of overall responsibility, guidance between the different boards and committees that make up the CVTA. So what we've done is set up development responsibilities for both the TAC, the Finance Directors Working Group, and the Finance Committee. And the structure here is to really hone in on what each committee specializes in one respect or another. So you can see at the bottom of page 36 in the packet, the TAC development responsibilities are to one, identify priority projects that have true regional impact, regardless of political boundary or cost. One project will be chosen per member locality to assemble a candidate listing for consideration by the CVTA. And by candidate listing, that means candidate projects to put in a bond package is the idea here. Number two is to develop timelines for those identified projects. This will identify how the slate of projects will perform across the region and help to identify funding commitment amounts and timing. Information to consider may include, but is not limited to, project phasing, years of expenditure, and relationship to any local improvement plans or economic development programs. And then the third point is that CVTA funding, or to identify the CVTA funding need for each project in relation to the overall project budget. So that's if it's leveraging amount, what percentage of the overall project budget is made up of CVTA funds. Include the timing of requested CVTA commitment versus other fund sources. And again, this is all oriented to help the financial advisors and the bond specialists put together a package that can be assembled for the entire region and put out for consideration at some point. Then the Finance Directors Working Group, just to go through the rest of the memo, is really focused on the impacts, the financial impacts of a package once these projects are identified, the types of bonds that are available. They'll go through all of that, using input from the TAC to prepare a snapshot of budget demands for each year. So again, once we assemble the slate of projects, the finance directors will work together to understand annual impacts, develop funding need projections by year, and then work with the finance committee to refine or prioritize project packages to meet the funding focus for the CVTA. And then finally, the finance committee itself is going to act as the assembling body, the Avengers, if you will, to put together the impacts from the Finance Directors Working Group as well as the TAC to understand overall impacts of the financial packages in relation to annual estimated tax revenues, to request updates from TAC to provide more information on particular priority projects, working directly with bond counsel and the financial advisors, and then finally preparing a recommended financing package for consideration by the authority. So while we are talking today about the TAC responsibilities, we are reinstituting or reinvigorating the Finance Directors Working Group with all of the new folks around the region that have come into those roles. So that meeting is scheduled for, I believe it's next week, for the finance directors to get together, and then we'll be going over the same information on Wednesday with the Finance Committee. Moving forward, all of these things are going to be hopefully carried out in parallel so that we can provide the necessary information when it's needed by bond counsel and the financial advisors and other groups. That's a quick summary. This is just an information item, but Madam Chair, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Okay. So who would be, I'm assuming the full authority would be the one to say, go, right?
Yes.
To say,
Absolutely.
TAC, we need you to come up we're looking at this document and we need to get going on this, so give us your projects. And we've not gotten that direction, so at this point, there's no deadline for us.
I think that the approval of this memo is the first step in that. So that was essentially the authority saying, okay, 3 committees start considering
Okay.
these things. But there weren't any deadlines included, if that's
Yeah,
the specific
okay.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way it's written, I see that in that first paragraph. It does. That's, it does kind of make it seem like, okay, go. So what's our deadline?
I mean, honestly, I think at this point,
You want to have the conversations with the working group and finance committee, and then you'll have a better idea?
I think so. And at the same time, I'd ask for each of you to be realistic in your ability to come up with a project
Yeah,
to be
but
considered.
yeah, I guess I'm more concerned about the deadline. So I can do that. When do you need it?
Well, yeah, let's wait till our June meeting and I can report back from the other 2 committees.
Okay. All right. Dirona?
Thank you. So, Chet, so again, I heard 2 things here because we don't know how much money. And so what did you just say? You asked tech to be what in their request? I couldn't hear you.
I was asking for each of you to be realistic in your ability to identify that one priority project. I don't want to put a deadline of next week if I'm not going to get answers for 3 weeks, right? So, I mean, I think we want to be realistic about when the deadline is going to be set, but it's not imminent. So the next step is to get feedback from the finance directors as well as the finance committee. And then we can circle back at the TAC meeting in June and talk about a deadline.
Thanks.
Amy?
Okay, thanks, Madam Chair. So I guess I assume that we're looking for pretty much shovel-ready projects for this list, correct, Chet? I mean, we're not looking for a wish list. These are projects that can be constructed as it relates to the cash flow of the bonding.
That's correct. Yes.
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
Chet, are we looking though to bring you one project from our locality? Is that
Yes.
what you're looking for? So it's
Yes,
not a
ma'am.
list, it's just one project, right?
Correct.
Okay. One shovel-ready project. Sometime soon. After the working finance director working group after finance.
And I will pledge to bring back in June more guidance on shovel readiness and any more project details that would be helpful for this committee.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Questions on this? All right. None. Go back to the agenda real quick. Oh, members page tutorial, show and tell, right?
Yes. Okay, this is going to be either really cool or totally boring for most of you. So we have, as you hopefully all know, we have a new website that's been set up for the authority, and we now have a private members page that TAC members and other board or committee members can utilize to share information, see things that are confidential, whether that's, legal documents or other kinds of things. So I just wanted to provide a really quick overview on how to access files when they are shared. You should have each, and I can go back and look and see who's actually been able to log in. gotten instructions for logging into the member page. But just want to share. Okay, can everybody see that? If you go to the top of the website, there is a block here called committee login. Can everybody see that? Anybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So if you click on the committee login, that's where you would enter the credentials that you were provided to be able to get into the member page. Once you are in, did that screen change?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. So this is when you're actually logged into the account. You can see that you're logged in when there's a logout option or account info at the top. What we have in there right now are two spreadsheets. The first is the adopted regional allocations plan from round 3. So this shows the regional CVTA funding in a Excel file.
And Chet, just one, I know I had an extra step of having to hit member documents to get to this screen.
Okay, yes. Maybe that's there. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, under members, there's member portal, member documents. So the allocations plan itself is a PDF on the public facing side of the website, but here it's an Excel file if you wanted to be able to go in and, you know, copy paste, do whatever to the adopted allocations. The next one is the new one that I just added, which is the newer approved quarterly reporting workbook. So this has the from left to right across the years, everything from 2021 all the way to 2025 based on quarterly amounts. This is what we were working together even as recent as this month to update individually and then either, PDF and email it back to me or other kinds of things. So what we want to do now is be able to provide a more reasonable use case for providing those updates on a regular basis. At this point, what you will be able to do is download the spreadsheet. So you can download the spreadsheet, update your cost figures or projects in the quarterly reporting, and then email it back. My goal, and hopefully I'll have this in the next week, is to be able to provide a link here that will go to a SharePoint-esque file where you can go to it online, update your numbers, and it will automatically save and put it back in. So there's no downloading, emailing, anything. It'll just be an update on the website. That's going through some permissions deal right now, and hopefully I'll have a resolution soon. But that's the overview. The one thing I don't have on here yet is in regards to quarterly reporting on regional projects. So the authority approved using an updated format for Appendix B, I believe, in the SPA agreements. So if you are currently spending regional funds on approved projects, Appendix B is basically a snapshot of the project information and a huge list of milestones. There's been a revision to that includes a place for narrative of project status, the ability to update timeline, more things that the Finance Committee had requested. So what I'm going to do on the website is get a template set up in Excel with that new format, that new layout, so that everybody can access it there, probably as a downloadable file. And then you can use that to provide your updates in future reimbursement requests. For anybody who isn't working under an adopted SPA yet, let me know when you get there, and we'll make sure you have a refresher on all these materials. I think that's it.
Great. So getting efficient. That's great.
Brian,
Anyone have questions?
I would ask if anybody needs access information resent, please let me know. I do have a printout somewhere of everybody that's logged in previously, so hopefully you have that. Thank you.
When you sent it, or who it came from? So people, if they're looking for inbox.
It may have come from CVTA information, like information@cvtava.org. But I'll
Okay.
verify.
Alrighty. And it was, anyway, okay. All right, next on the agenda, CVTA TAC member events. Does anyone have comments to share with the group? Nope. Okay, our next meeting is June 9th at 1 o'clock, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great